Just after paying off their €212,000 mortgage, I received an anonymous video. Watch this now. I opened it and saw my family selling the same house to another person. He thinks it's his. €40,000 more and it's yours. They were laughing. I sent the video to the family chat. I canceled the payment and arrived with the deed in hand, but the real shock was waiting inside. I was half asleep when my phone vibrated aggressively on the nightstand. 3 a.m. Who would send a message at this hour? My mind was clouded with exhaustion, still trying to process the fact that just yesterday, I had transferred the last mortgage payment on my parents' house. €212,000. All paid off. I should have felt relief. Instead, I only felt empty. The message was from an unknown number. Watch this now. Attached was a video file. Curiosity battled with caution, but exhaustion won. I tapped play. The video opened with shaky footage of the inside of my family's home. My sister Marta's voice echoed, clear and almost too loud. This guy thinks the house is his now. What a joke! The camera panned to the living room where my father, Fernando, was laughing while holding a beer. Then my mother, Isabel, with a glass of wine, chimed in. €40,000 more and it's yours, she said, smiling conspiratorially at someone off camera. Then the screen showed a man I'd never seen before, middle-aged, rough-looking, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. He thinks it's his, seriously? Marta cackled. Yeah, he paid it off completely. But for €40,000 more, it's yours. Laughter filled the room. My hands went numb. The phone slipped slightly. I replayed it, hoping I'd misheard. But the words didn't change. They were selling the house. The house I had just paid off for them. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. Instead, I sent the video to the family chat with a single word. Explain. No response. 20 minutes later, I canceled the last mortgage payment, the one I'd just made. If they were selling, they wouldn't do it with my money. I grabbed the deed from the drawer. My name was still on it. I wasn't going to let them play me for a fool. I dressed and drove to the house. No calls. No texts. I simply walked up to the door, clutching the deed like a lifeline. But the real shock wasn't waiting outside. It was inside. I stood in their living room, the deed clenched in my fist, a storm raging inside me. But my family stared back with the same blank, calculating faces I'd come to loathe. My sister, Marta, was sprawled on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. My father, Fernando, leaned against the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, that arrogant, condescending smirk on his face. My mother, Isabel, always the silent accomplice, stood by the window, pretending to adjust the curtains. Explain. The video. I demanded, waving my phone. Silence. Then a sigh. Marta looked up, rolling her eyes. Oh, come on. It's just a joke. A joke. My voice trembled. You're selling the house I just paid off, behind my back, for €40,000 more? Not selling. Renting. Fernando interjected, his voice calm, as if explaining something obvious to a child. It's a business decision. We needed some extra cash. Business decision? This isn't your house to sell. I threw the deed on the coffee table. My name is on the mortgage. I paid for it. I paid for all of it. Fernando's smirk vanished. He took a step forward, his face darkening. You paid because we let you pay, he snapped. You wanted to feel important. You wanted to be the hero. Well, now you are. Congratulations. You're twisting this. I whispered, my voice cracking. I helped because you needed me. Because you said it was our family home. And it is. Finally, Isabel spoke, her voice soft, almost pleading. For all of us. For all of us. Or just for the three of you? I retorted. You didn't even tell me you were going to rent it. You lied. You took advantage of me. Marta leaned back further, a cruel smile curving her lips. We used you. Don't be dramatic. You're so desperate for our approval. You'd pay for anything. It's unfortunate. The room spun. My chest tightened. Years of sacrifices, sleepless nights wondering if I could pay their bills and mine, picking up their pieces, reduced to a joke. I turned to my mother. Mom, did you know about this? Her eyes fell to the floor. Your father said it was just temporary. That wasn't true. I yelled. Temporary? Then why are they selling it for 40,000 euro more? Why did they record themselves laughing at me? You don't understand how things work, Fernando growled, taking another step closer. That money was never yours. This house was never yours. You never saw me as a person, only as a prop, a means to an end. My hands trembled. I'd paid their debts, their mortgage, their vacations, Marta's credit cards. I'd done everything for this family. And we never asked you to, Marta scoffed. You did it because you wanted to feel like a savior. Newsflash, nobody cares. Silence. The kind of silence that rings in your ears. I looked at the people I once called family. Their faces were twisted with annoyance, not shame. No remorse. Just irritation that I was ruining their little scheme. Please leave. My father, Fernando's voice was pure ice. Please leave. I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. This is my house. I paid for it. You want me to leave? Your house. Fernando stepped closer, his face inches from mine. Your name might be on the deed, but this is our home. We built this life. You just financed it. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed the deed, squeezed it tightly, but then dropped it on the table, frustration boiling inside me. You want to keep it? Fine. Keep it. But you'll do it without me. I stormed towards the front door. But Marta's voice stopped me. Wait. Did you forget something? She yelled, laughing. I turned, fury burning in my veins. She held up her phone, waving it. Say whiskey. The camera flash blinded me for a second. I'll post this on the family chat. Our dramatic brother throwing a tantrum. Classic. My vision blurred. I grabbed the deed again, clenched it, but again, I dropped it on the table, anger seething inside me. Go ahead, I hissed. But when this all falls apart, and it will, don't expect me to help you. Next time. I slammed the door so hard, its echo reverberated down the empty street. But even as I drove away, their laughter chased me. And I knew. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. I arrived home, didn't bother taking off my coat, didn't even sit down. I grabbed my laptop, opened the video, the one where they were laughing, selling the house I'd paid for. I watched it again and again. The laughter. My father's voice. He thinks it's his. 40,000 euro more and it's yours. I saved the video. Made a backup. This wasn't just evidence. It was a weapon. But I knew that just exposing them wouldn't be enough. They'd always been good at twisting the truth, making me look like the irrational one. Not this time. I was going to do this right. I sent a message to the family chat. We need to talk. Family meeting tomorrow. I want to fix things. Fernando's reply came almost instantly. You're finally seeing sense. My mother, Isabel, replied with her usual guilt-laden sweetness. We love you, dear. Let's fix this. Marta, always the venomous one. Don't make this into another drama. I had no idea I'd invited someone else. I booked a private room at a restaurant. The same one we used for birthdays, anniversaries, family memories that now felt like a cruel joke. I arrived early, instructed the waiter to serve only water. I wanted them sober. I wanted their words to be clear. They walked in together. Fernando, with a cocky smirk. Isabel, putting on her worried mother face. And Marta, strutting like this was another one of her performances. Thanks for coming, I said, gesturing to the chairs. We're here because we care, Fernando said, crossing his arms. I didn't bother responding. I simply placed my tablet in the center of the table and pressed play. This guy thinks the house is his. What a joke! Their voices filled the room, clear as day. The laughter. The deal. The extra 40,000 euros. Marta's mocking tone. Fernando's sly inflections. Their faces paled. This is a misunderstanding, Fernando stammered, reaching for the tablet. I swatted his hand away. Misunderstanding? I leaned forward. You were selling the house I paid for. The house I paid off completely. And you were laughing. It was just a joke, Isabel whispered. A joke? Selling my house is a joke. I spat. Or are you only sorry because you got caught? The door opened and everyone turned. A man walked in, middle-aged, graying hair, his expression dark with anger. My parents' faces went instantly white. They knew who he was. Ramon, I said, gesturing him forward. Glad you could make it. Fernando's voice trembled. You invited him here? Of course I did, I replied. After all, you were trying to sell him my house. Ramon's eyes were ice. They told me it was their house, he growled, looking at Fernando. That it was a family property. It is. Fernando's voice cracked. It's our family home. No, it isn't, I said, throwing a folder on the table. It's mine. My name is on the mortgage. My money paid it off. And I have another surprise. I pulled out a second set of documents. Care to explain these? Fernando's face contorted as he scanned the document, and then his eyes widened. This is a second mortgage. I'll interrupt, I said. A loan you took out against my house, using forged documents. My signature. My ID. Isabel's hand flew to her mouth. No, there must be a mistake. No mistake, I said coldly. It's all here. You robbed me. You tried to sell my house. You forged my name. You don't understand. Fernando's voice broke. We needed the money. We just thought. You thought I was a fool, I whispered. You thought I'd keep paying. I'd keep sacrificing. I'd keep being the fool. Ramon stood up, his chair scraping loudly. I'm calling the police, he declared, pulling out his phone. Wait, please. Isabel's voice turned frantic. We can fix this. We're family. Family? I laughed. Is that what you call it? Lies? Theft? Betrayal? Please, son, Isabel was crying now. But Fernando, his face twisted with rage, you think you've won, don't you? You think this is over? Oh, this is just beginning, I said, standing up. Enjoy your family home. I walked to the door, and that's when I heard Marta's voice, high and desperate. Wait, you don't know everything. This was all Dad's idea. I didn't even want to sign it. I turned slowly. Sign? You signed the documents. Her face went pale. Fernando's eyes widened with fury. Shut up, Marta. But it was too late. I stormed out, but not before seeing the horror in their eyes. 2 hours later, I was home when my phone buzzed with a notification. An email from an anonymous account. No text, just an attachment. I downloaded it. It was an audio file. I clicked play. I signed the documents. You said it was just a formality. That he'd never know. Marta's voice trembled. Don't worry. He'll never find out, came Fernando's reply. And even if he does, we'll manipulate him, like always. I sat back in my chair, a cold fury wrapping around me like a steel fist. They were all involved. They always were. But now I had everything. And I was about to bring them down. The moment I walked out of that empty house, with that bag of stolen documents and mutilated photos, I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't go home. I drove straight to the bank. It was almost closing time, but I didn't care. I walked straight to the counter, slammed the bag down on the desk, and demanded to speak with the branch manager. 5 minutes later, I was in his office. I laid out the forged documents, the fake loan agreements, the mortgages with my name, but not my signature. His face went pale as he flipped through the pages. Sir, this is serious fraud, he stammered. I didn't correct him. I leaned forward. This is a crime. I want every account connected to these people frozen. I want a full investigation. And I want a statement from this bank acknowledging that I was a victim of forgery. He didn't argue. Within minutes, Calls were made, security officers were brought in, and my family's accounts were frozen. From the bank, I drove straight to the courthouse. I didn't care about the time. I didn't care about anything except one thing: making them pay. Filing the lawsuit was faster than I thought. Fraud, embezzlement, identity theft. The clerk looked at the evidence I provided and shook his head. "They won't know what hit them," he muttered, almost with pity. Good. I didn't want pity. I wanted justice. But I wasn't finished. I arrived home, grabbed my phone, and opened the family chat. I said nothing. I asked for no explanations. I simply sent a series of photos. The forged documents. The mutilated family photos. My name signed on papers I'd never touched. Within minutes, the chat exploded. "Isabel, please, dear. Can we talk about this?" "Fernando, you don't understand. It's not what it looks like." "Marta, this is a misunderstanding. Let's talk, please." I ignored them. Blocked them all. But I wasn't done. I needed to see the damage for myself. I needed to confront the place where they thought they'd buried me. So I went back. Back to the empty house. The silence was even louder now, a hollow echo that followed me through the empty rooms. Nothing but shadows. Nothing but absence. They'd erased me from their lives, drained everything I'd paid for, and vanished without a trace. But the basement, that's where the truth had been buried. I walked down those creaking steps, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. The trunk was still there, open, the mutilated photos and forged documents scattered across the cold cement floor. But something else caught my eye. A dusty, forgotten box shoved in the corner. I yanked it out, opened it, and froze. It was filled with family albums. But every photo had been altered. My face scratched out. My image cut away. Entire pages where I should have been, ripped out. As if I'd never existed. Rage boiled inside me. I grabbed the albums, the forged documents, and walked out of that dark tomb. They thought they could erase me. They thought they could laugh at me. Steal from me. Sell the house I paid for. But I was done being their ghost. The next morning, I got a call from the bank. My father had tried to access his frozen account. Denied. My mother tried to pay her credit card. Declined. Marta's car loan. Blocked. They were trapped. And then the real fight began. The lawsuit papers were served. They were publicly served, right at their new, rented apartment. A friend sent me a photo. Fernando's face twisted with shock. Isabel, eyes brimming with tears. And Marta, screaming at the delivery driver. They tried to call me. Blocked. They tried to email me. Blocked. They even tried to contact me through mutual friends, telling their sob story of victimhood. He's destroying his own family. But I had the proof. I sent it to anyone who asked. Days turned into weeks, and the trial date arrived. They showed up looking like ghosts themselves, desperate, disheveled, clutching folders filled with flimsy excuses. I walked in calmly, a file full of solid evidence tucked under my arm. The judge didn't need an hour. The forged signatures. The loan documents. The mutilated photos. Undeniable. My family tried to speak, but their lies crumbled before they could even begin. When the verdict came, it was brutal. They were ordered to repay me every single cent I had spent on them. Utilities. Credit card debts. Vacations. Everything. And the house was legally declared mine. Not just a name. Completely. Absolutely mine. They looked at me, huddled together, as if I were the monster, as if I were the villain in their twisted story. "Please," Isabel whispered, tears streaming down her face. "We can fix this. We can be a family again." "No," I said, my voice as cold as steel. "I already have a family." I walked out without another word. But it wasn't over. When I returned to the house, my house, I saw them waiting by the gate. Fernando pacing, his face red with rage. Isabel sobbing, clinging to Marta, who glared at me with venom in her eyes. "You think you've won?" Fernando yelled, stepping forward. "You think you can just erase us?" "Erase you?" I laughed. You erased me the moment you cut me out of my own life. You erased me every time you stole from me, every time you lied to me. This is all you have left, your guilt. So live with it. Please, dear. Isabel reached out. But I stepped back. You're not my family. You're just strangers I wasted my life saving. And with that, I walked through the gate, locked it behind me, and went inside. That night, I changed the locks. Heavy, reinforced locks. Each turn of the key a reminder that they couldn't just walk in anymore. They couldn't just claim my life, my space. I painted the walls a warm, clean white. Replaced the faded curtains with something lighter, something that let the sun in. One by one, I replaced the rooms they had emptied. New furniture, mine. New appliances, mine. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. But the real victory came 3 weeks later. The first check arrived, certified mail, signed and embossed from the courthouse. 32,000 euros. The first installment of the repayment they were forced to make. At first, I didn't touch it. I just stared at it. It felt like a piece of them, desperate, clinging to what was left. But I cashed it without a second thought. And then they kept coming week after week. Isabel's shaky handwriting on the envelopes. Fernando's angry signature on the checks. Even Marta's forced apologies scrawled on a note. I'm sorry. Please just let this end. It wasn't my problem anymore. They could cry. They could plead. They could scream. I had one. The money piled up, and with every euro I received, I felt another weight lift. 50,000 euros. 100,000 euros. By the time they paid back every last cent they owed me, 52,000 euros, I wasn't just free. I was richer. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about the silence. No more texts. No more guilt-laden calls. No more family chat where they laughed at me, manipulated me, lied to me. My phone was clean, free of their notifications. Just the quiet I had earned. I used the money to finish the house. A solid oak dining table, something I'd chosen. Soft leather sofas, comfortable, not those old, misshapen ones they pretended were vintage. I filled the walls with my own photographs. Landscapes, cityscapes, moments I'd captured, not because I had to please someone, but because I wanted to. One afternoon, I found the old trunk, the same one from the basement, still filled with the ruined photos and forged documents. I took the trunk outside, placed it in the metal barrel we used for yard waste, and lit a small, controlled fire. The flames roared, licking at the twisted remnants of their betrayal, turning them to ash. I watched them burn, felt the heat on my face, and smiled. I watched the smoke rise into the sky, the past dissolving into ashes. And I felt a strange kind of peace. They tried to take everything from me. They tried to erase me. They tried to turn my life into their safety net. But in the end, they paid for every sin, every lie, every wound they inflicted. I wasn't their savior. I wasn't their victim. I was free. I was still standing on the porch, feeling the cool night air against my face, when I saw a familiar car pull up. It was Alvaro, Marta's ex, the guy I'd barely spoken to at family gatherings. He got out of the car, holding a 6-pack of beer. I didn't think you'd actually answer, he said, grinning. Wasn't sure it was you, I admitted. But I figured I owed it to you. Alvaro laughed as he walked up the porch steps. Yeah, it was me. I recorded that video. Couldn't watch them bleed you dry anymore. Why? I asked, genuinely curious. Because they did the same to me, he said, leaning against the porch railing. Marta wanted me to take out loans for her. Fake business ideas. When I said no, she dumped me. We stood there for a moment, letting the silence settle between us. Guess I owe you one, I said, finally. He smiled. Seeing their lies crumble, that's enough for me. He offered me one of the beers, but I left it unopened on the railing. Thanks, Alvaro. Take care, man. As he walked back to his car, I stood there, feeling the night air still. No ghosts. No deaths.